We've all encountered individuals whose actions unknowingly push others away, leaving a trail of confusion and hurt in their wake. Often unaware of their impact on those around us, these individuals seem to perpetuate harmful behaviors without intention. Their actions are deeply ingrained and passed down through generations of dysfunctional patterns. Is this you? Maybe your spouse? Perhaps one of your children? It's not unusual for it to be one of your surviving parents. Welcome to my podcast on How Not to Retire, a psychological approach to retiring healthy and wealthy. Episode 16, Building Relationships and Role Awareness. Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Richard Himmer. I want you to meet Emily, a kind-hearted soul longing for healthy and harmonious relationships within her family. She's not a specific client or person, but a composite of most folks in the world trying to connect. Her desire to break free from the cycle of emotional detachment is met with a challenge she never anticipated: her own social blind spots. Born out of a lineage marked by suppressed communication and unexpressed emotions, Emily unintentionally has replicated the behaviors she seeks to avoid and to escape. A couple of months ago, while teaching a marriage class, I met Emily, or one like Emily. Her husband accompanied her to the series of marriage classes primarily focused on effective communication within the marriage and with the extended family, including children, grandchildren, in-laws, etc. As with so many Emilys in the world, they navigate the complexities of family dynamics unaware of their harmful actions and the impact on those they love. This is a tale about the consequences of generational dysfunctions and the power of self-awareness in breaking free from such patterns. During the training or during the class or classes, I addressed the difference between conflict and contention. To set the stage, conflict is having the same goal, but seeing a different path to achieve the goal. For example, when my wife and I first got married, we wanted to have harmony in our relationship and resolve our differences. She was taught to never let the sun go down on our differences without resolving them. That didn't work for me. I wanted to resolve our differences, but working on them at 2 a.m. in the morning with an early work schedule started wearing thin on me. My feelings and on the nincompoop who provided my wife with this harmful advice. This is horrible advice, and I'll explain why. We both wanted the same thing, harmony. Her approach was to continue beating the dead horse, while my approach was to process the differences, trying to understand what was going on, and then reconcile our differences with a fresh set of eyes, having rejuvenated my energy. After a year of sleepless nights arguing with my wife, she agreed to sleep on the situation and renew the conversation the following day. At the time, we didn't have a name for our approach, but we do now. We call it our rules of engagement. When you force somebody to have a conversation with you, you're trying to control them and you're trying to control the situation. Better to invite them into a conversation where reconciliation is possible. Conflict is to be resolved. When you have contention, it's about who is right, and I'll explain that in just a minute. So let's get back to Emily and her husband. After telling this story and explaining the difference between conflict and contention, their respective countenances fell. And after the training, they approached me with a concerning set of questions. Before I continue, though, I do need to, and I almost started explaining it earlier, I need to explain the difference between conflict and contention. So as a reminder, conflict is having the same goal, but seeing a different path to get there. Sherry and I wanted to get along, but her approach was different than mine. Conflict is to be resolved. That's the point of conflict. Without it, we don't progress. Keep that in mind. If you don't have conflict, if you never have a disagreement with someone, one of you is totally unnecessary. Conflict is required, or someone isn't being authentic and someone doesn't have a voice. It is conflict that drives growth. It is about what is right, the principle of the situation with no personal bias. On the other hand, contention is about who is right. It's about the emotional breakdown of the person trying to be right. In fact, it's still contention regardless if you're right or wrong. For example, how many dads are correct when instructing their 16-year-old daughter not to date the leader of the pack? The dangers of drugs, alcohol, and unwanted pregnancy loom large in the dad's mind. However, what good does it do for the dad to be right if the daughter is not listening? To summarize, conflict is required to growth. It is having the same goal with different pathways, and it's about what is right. Contention is all about who is right. Someone is trying to be the smartest person in the room, and it pushes people away. Someone's trying to control another person. People don't listen when someone is trying to be right. So, as Emily and her husband approached me, they explained the situation. About 9 months ago, their oldest child, their boy, got married. The previous night before this class, the son called them and explained that he's having difficulty with his wife because they keep arguing and he doesn't know what to do. You need to understand that Emily and her husband never argued, and especially in front of the children. Therefore, their son had never seen conflict, healthy conflict. He'd only seen contention, and he'd never seen conflict resolved. Now he was at a loss because his new wife came from a different background, a different culture. Trying to understand the context of their story, I asked, do you two ever argue? And they said, no. Do you ever have these discussions in front of children? And they said, no. And both their eyes glanced downward. Emily then explained that she is conflict adverse, to which her husband chimed in, yeah, we don't argue because we don't know how. We have the feelings of conflict or contention or whatever because we never voiced our opinion to each other. We didn't understand that manifesting conflict in front of our children and showing them how to resolve conflict was positive. It's a healthy thing. They always believed it was something negative. They had never actually been taught correctly by their parents. This story serves as a reminder that the habits and patterns we inherit from generations past can shape our interactions in profound ways. Yet it also offers hope. The hope that with awareness, introspection, and a genuine commitment to change, we can break free from the cycles of dysfunctional behavior and forge healthier, more authentic connections with those we hold dear. Emily grew up in a household where communication was scarce and emotions were often suppressed. Her parents, despite their good intentions, struggled to express their feelings openly. As a result, Emily developed a tendency to avoid conflict, fearing that it would disrupt the fragile peace she sought. As she ventured into adulthood, Emily carried her childhood experiences with her, determined to break the cycle of emotional detachment. She yearned for warmth, understanding, and open dialogue within her family. However, her lack of awareness about her social blind spots hindered her progress. Unbeknownst to Emily, she possessed a tendency to dismiss or downplay her own feelings, therefore denying herself a voice in the world. In her pursuit of harmony, she inadvertently invalidated her emotions and perspectives, so those around her took advantage of her niceness. Emily's social blind spots also led her to overlook subtle cues and nonverbal communication. She failed to recognize the unspoken needs and desires of those around her, inadvertently causing misunderstandings and growing distances within her family. One day, Emily's younger sister Sarah mustered the courage to confront her about these blind spots. With a gentle yet firm voice, Sarah expressed her longing for a deeper connection, one that acknowledged each other's emotions and created a safe space for vulnerability, which interpreted is trust. At first, Emily felt defensive, hurt by the realization that her actions had unintentionally caused pain. However, as she reflected on Sarah's words, she recognized the truth within them. She realized that her desire for harmony had blinded her to the importance of validating the emotions and experiences of her loved ones. Determined to mend the fractures within her family, Emily embarked on a journey of self-discovery and growth. She sought out resources on emotional intelligence, communication skills, and active listening. Through introspection and practice, and a lot of practice I might add, Emily began to unravel her social blind spots, gradually gaining a deeper understanding of the intricacies of healthy relationships. With newfound awareness, Emily initiated heartfelt conversations with her family members, one at a time, a little here, a little there. She listened intently. She allowed her emotions to wash over her without judgment. That's so critical. That's called acceptance. She acknowledged her previous blind spots and expressed her sincere desire to create an environment of open communication and genuine connection. Over time, Emily's efforts bore fruit. Her family members, seeing her genuine commitment to change, reciprocated with patience, forgiveness, and a willingness to rebuild what was lost. Together, they embarked on a journey of healing, embracing vulnerability and embracing the beauty of imperfection. It's okay to make mistakes because they get retakes. As the years passed, Emily's family grew stronger and more connected than ever. They navigated the ebbs and flows of life with grace and understanding, knowing that healthy relationships require constant and continuous effort with a willingness to confront their own blind spots. In other words, they questioned their own assumptions. Emily's story serves as a reminder that the path to healthy relationships begins with self-awareness and a willingness to acknowledge and address our own social blind spots. It teaches us that true connection requires active listening, empathy, understanding the world through another person's eyes, not because you've walked in their shoes, and a genuine desire to understand the experiences of our loved ones. And most importantly, it emphasizes that while no relationship is perfect, the journey of growth and learning is what ultimately strengthens the bonds that bind us together. And as we conclude this episode, stay tuned for the next episode, because in that episode, I go into detail about specific challenges that we incur as we move into the retirement years. So remember, don't try harder, try different. Until next time, may your habits harmonize with your purpose, leading to a life filled with happiness, joy, and well-being.